Hello, I'm Harvie S., and I'm here at Kolstein, NYC. Hello, I'm Harvie S., and we are here at Harvie's Corner at Kolstein, NYC, and we're doing a podcast which is called Bass in the Corner. This is a chance to meet the bass players who are the lifeblood of the New York scene. You see them in jazz clubs, you see them in salsa clubs, you see them in cabarets, I don't know, Broadway, all over, concerts in the street, concerts in the park, whatever. These are the people that make the bands happen. That's what bass players do. They don't get a lot of credit, but they get a lot of work. And this bass player who I'm going to introduce next gets a lot of work with some of the greatest people in the world. And his name is Saadi Zain.
Thank you so much, Harvie. Thanks so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here, and I'm really honored to be amongst the people that you've invited here, and I've been interviewing, and I've been watching a lot of these interviews, and I learned so much about people that I've looked up to, or even people that are my friends. I'm like, wow, I didn't know this about you, or I didn't know that about you. It's wonderful.
Yeah, for me too, because I do these interviews. I don't plan. I don't know what you're going to say, and I don't know what stories I'm going to hear. So it's like really exciting for me, and and then I love when they're done. I like watching them again, because then I say, oh yeah, right, because I don't remember everything. So I'll watch them again, and I say, wow. So it's a lot of fun for me to watch these interviews.
Me too, and I've learned so much about you too, because in talking about it, I was like, wow, I know a lot more about you after watching these interviews. So
and
it's
you're still talking to me?
Oh yeah, man, it's great. It's a wonderful thing. So thank you for doing this.
Oh, thank you. It's been great. It's been really fun here doing the jam sessions. You've come a lot.
Yeah.
And those have been fun.
I love this place, Harvie. We can talk about it some more, but this place is it's like Disneyland for bass players, in the sense it brings me joy. It brings me joy to be here. It brings me joy to walk by these windows and see all these basses. And not just that, but here in a place where, 20, 30 years ago, there were piano stores, music stores all over here, 48th Street. That's all been run out. There's nothing here anymore. And to have this place come back like this, it's like, wow, there's hope here, So it's on a deeper level, it symbolizes to me the fact that music is still important here in Manhattan in New York City.
Right. Well, thank Manny Alvarez. Manny, had the shop, bought the shop, from Barry. Barry doesn't own it anymore. Manny bought it, and I was thinking when he bought it, I said, well, that's great. He's got a great place, and everything is cool. And then suddenly he says, oh, I'm opening up a shop in New York. And I went, wow, that's daring.
It sure is.
And unfortunately, he opened it right before the pandemic, so it made it extraordinarily difficult. But he hung in, and now that the pandemic's over and things are coming back, and they brought me in to try to, give it some juice, and I'm trying my hardest to do that because, I've been a big supporter of these people, of this whole thing. And so we'll see what happens. But so what are you up to? I'd like to, the next, 2, 3, 4 months, I know you're always doing great stuff. So tell us, give me a little.
Yeah, well, look, I take these things a few days at a time. I got some irons in the fire. I don't want to jinx anything, but there's always stuff coming up. I'm involved with some shows and theater and stuff like that. I'm playing at this little French wine bar tomorrow in Long Island City with a trio. We get in there and stretch. I just finished last night a week at the Carlisle Bemelman's Bar with my friend Tony DeSere. I had a blast over there. And I was doing The Lion King for the first week of the year in January. I've been doing that show for a long time. And I've just recently been involved with this really cool project. It's a brand new show, like a dance production of Duke Ellington and Billy Strayhorn's Nutcracker. And they got about 30 dancers. I've been working with this thing since October, but they've been working on it for a couple of years now. And we opened it in Chicago at the Auditorium Theater.
I know, because you were away in Chicago for a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah, we were there for a couple of weeks. We opened this show, and it's, I mean, a big band, like 18 pieces, and the rhythm section came here from New York, and the rest of the band was from Chicago, locals over there. And this show is, I mean, it's really an homage to Billy Strayhorn. And the characters in there, there's a Duke character, there's a Strayhorn character, but to get to play those Strayhorn bass parts, man, it's really eye-opening, you know?
No question, one of the greatest writers ever.
Yeah, I was just talking to Jay Anderson about it. It was like that the bass parts are really, they're very interesting because there's chord changes above them, and then there's the bass parts that they don't really follow the chord changes that well. It's very contrapuntal. And you realize, okay, Strayhorn probably lifted this from the Tchaikovsky parts, the orchestral parts, and when you play them, it just sounds right. And then you play the chords, and it's like, yeah, it kind of works, but it was a great experience. And John Clayton wrote a lot of the arrangements for him. So John came out and worked with us a couple of times, and I got to meet him, and what a wonderful, sweet man. And
yeah, John's amazing.
It was
and I
great.
love his writing. I mean, he's a great player too, of course, but that guy can write.
Yeah, he wrote, he orchestrated a lot. He orchestrated, because the suite itself wasn't long, there wasn't enough music in just the Nutcracker suite for the story, so they brought in other songs. There's A-Train, there's Caravan, there's like This Strange Feeling, and some of those other Ellington Strayhorn songs that were a part of it. So John arranged a lot of those, he orchestrated them, and then he came and he worked with us, and it was wonderful. It was my first time to really get to do it.
Is there like a video of it or anything?
You know, there's some promo things out there, little clips. I even have one on my Facebook page, I think.
I'll have to look for
but,
that.
you know, just tiny little clips.
I wonder if they ever maybe take the whole show, because I would love to see it.
They want to make a movie about it. So, you know, there's been a little, the production company, the production team who put this, they want to make like a movie out of it, and they want to bring it to other cities, including New York. We were supposed to be at City Center in the last 2 weeks of November, and it got canceled. So there were some issues on the production end, but hopefully next year it comes back. So, you know, that's what I'm saying. I've got these projects, these kind of irons in the fire things I've been involved with. There's a wonderful Nina Simone musical that I've been involved with for a few years now, and we had an off-Broadway run in the spring of 2022, and there's a possibility that could come to Broadway or, you know, come back in some way, shape, or form. And that's a really wonderful, profound show about her life, and also about some of the things that she experiences, you know, in America, in the jazz world, in the world itself as an African American woman. You know, I mean.
Well, her story is fascinating.
It's a fascinating story.
She was going to be a great classical pianist.
Exactly.
And they you know, put a kibosh on that, you know.
And it affected everything she did afterwards. And, you know, you can hear it in her music, but also, you know, it gives some understanding to why she was the way she was. And it's a very, very profound piece. And unfortunately, it only ran for 3 months over here at New World Stages, and a lot of people didn't get to see it. And at that time, a lot of people weren't really comfortable being in theaters, and you know, there was still mask mandates and
not a good time.
It wasn't a good time, and I think, you know, because of the political climate, and because it was such a small cast, there's only 4 of us. There's a woman that plays Nina, and myself, and a piano player and a drummer. We're all on the stage. And we had speaking lines and singing lines and blocking. Yeah, because we interact with her. So it was a really interesting experience.
Well, if it comes back, get me tickets. I'll pay for them.
Oh,
but
sure.
Make sure I get tickets.
Okay.
Because sometimes, you know, like they opened up a Broadway show with the Cuban show, the Buena Vista.
Oh yes, yeah, I remember that.
And a couple of my friends are in the band. I want to go. I couldn't get, and I found, you know, I went online, there's no tickets. And I said, if you can get me tickets, you know, but it was too late. So that's what I'm saying. For this thing, let me know. I'll buy tickets, but just help me get them, because that could sell out.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. If it ends up having a Broadway run, they're big.
Even an off-Broadway.
Yeah, well, we had an off-Broadway run, so if they do another off-Broadway run, it'll be kind of a lateral move, which I don't think is a bad idea because I think the show works pretty well in a more intimate space. Broadway theaters, I think they have to have a minimum of something like 500 seats, so it changes the dynamic of it. It's going to be very big, but there'll be more seats to fill. So Broadway it's pretty competitive right now in terms of trying to get people into seats because there's a lot of theaters. They're all big. There's a lot of shows. People have choices.
And tickets are expensive.
And tickets are not cheap. Yeah.
Yeah. So not everybody can go.
Yeah.
But anyway, that would be interesting. I really love Nina Simone, and I've checked her out and saw a lot of documentaries about her.
Yeah,
and
there's been some good ones.
And I used to know Al Schackman.
You knew Al Schackman? So,
yeah. I used to hang out with Al years ago.
Oh man, I have to tell you that when I was doing this show, Ron Carter's my mentor. He when he found out I was doing the show, he's like, you have to speak to Al Schackman. So I was like, how am I going to get a hold of Al Schackman? Because he used to live over here,
in Massachusetts.
Yeah, he used he used to live right here, but he moved. Really? He's actually in Arizona now. When we first did the show, we did it at a place called George Street Playhouse in New Brunswick, and Chris White's wife came. Chris was Nina's bass player for a long time, so she came to the show. A lot of Nina's grandson came to the show, and different people were coming. So I can't think of her name, Marlena, something like that. But she put me in touch with Al Schackman, and I was like, guys, we have to. I talked to the rest of the band. I was like, we have to have a conversation with Al Schackman because Al, he was with Nina from the beginning, pretty much. He was like the first time that Nina played with another musician. So we had a Zoom conference. We had this Zoom conference with Al and the band for like an hour, and we asked him questions, and he told us about the whole experience. And I learned so much. I mean, because
Al, he's the guy.
He's the guy, yeah, and it was fascinating. So of course, because we're all fictional characters that could be people in Nina's band. So it ends up being, you need to know about not just Nina, but what was it like working with her? What was it like in her band? What were the dynamics like between her and the band? And Al had a lot of insight on that, of course.
I'm
and
sure.
Was, the music director recorded it so we can refer back to it and stuff. It was fascinating. Al Schackman.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so nice. Yeah, so good. So obviously you're very busy and doing good stuff as well. You should.
I've been lucky, man.
And so, it was kind of like asking everybody, like, tell us like some kind of interesting story. It could be about a gig. It could be about just some philosophy you have about something.
Well, okay.
Say something.
All right. I'll tell you a story that's a nice New York story, and
I can use that.
I used to play with. I played with in Charlie Purs's band for years.
Oh, he came up earlier in another interview.
Yeah, well, Sip and I, I played in his band for like 10 years, and I played in some small bands. His big band, we rehearsed every Thursday at Boys Harbor. But it's like when I first joined the band, I was like, I don't know, it was my first couple of years in New York, and we had my first gig with the band was here at Birdland. It was like the first time I was playing in a major jazz club.
I think this is going to be like the other story.
The first time. Well, okay, hold on.
This is.
I don't know the other story, but
this is okay.
Shall I continue?
Yeah, please.
This is a big deal for me, right? My first Charlie Purs's band, first time ever playing in Birdland. Birdland didn't have any equipment back then. Now they have amps and all this, and the upstairs, still over here on 44th Street. And I've got my station wagon at the time, so I'm taking the time. And I used to double on electric and upright with Charlie's band, so I had two basses, I had an amp. I'm loading all this into my car, big 15-inch speaker, all this kind of stuff. Drive over, get to the gig early, park in the lot across the street, which is now a big hotel, but back then it was a parking lot. I'm setting up my amp, and when I do a doubling gig, I always I want to get the sound on the acoustic bass first, because the electric bass, I usually live I'm using an active bass. I've got controls. So once I get the sound of the acoustic bass and the upright the way I want it, then I plug in the electric and I get the sound. So I got the acoustic sound all going, and then I'm like, where's my electric?
Oh, and no, this is a different story.
I'm trying to think, what happened to the electric bass? Where the hell is it? And I'm kind of freaking out. And then I realized what happened, and my heart sank because I had leaned it up against the side of my car, which was double parked on 110th Street, a big 2-lane road. And I forgot to, with everything going down and my eagerness to get to the gig, I forgot to put the electric bass in the car. So it's leaning against my car. I would in a soft case, padded case, right? Not even in a hard case. And I drove off with it. So I'm like, it must be just lying in the street on the other side of the parked cars. It's gone. I need an electric bass. Now I had a second electric bass at home. I didn't have time to get my
somebody took
my car. I didn't have the time to get the car out of the parking lot. I jumped in a cab. I had the cab drive me up. I told him to wait, and I'm running up to my room. Well, there's a doorman down at the lobby, and he says, "Hey, I have something for you. This guy brought in this bass here, and he didn't leave a name or anything. He just said, tell him that there's still some good people left in New York." So
that's a
padded gig bag outside, must have been laying in the middle of the street. Somebody saw this, picked it up, figured out I was in that building, took it in to my doorman, and left the bass there and said, "Please get this back, and I don't want anything. I don't even want this guy to know who he is. Just tell him there's still some good people in New York." And
wow.
So I grabbed the bass, and it was still fine, and I took it to the gig and did the gig. And I was like, wow. So to this day, whenever I find anything, a wallet, anything, I go out of my way to get it back to that person.
No, I always do that.
But it's like, wow, this is like, my second year in New York or something like that maybe, and it was really a nice thing. And that. Wow,
there are some good people.
1976 Music Man, heavy as hell. I still have it, but I can't play it anymore. It just weighs me down. But I love that bass.
No, because that old New York, I remember some drummer told me a story that he was loading his drums and he turned his back and the snare was gone. And he said the guy who stole it was so slick he never even saw him.
Yeah, that's the thing. You're in New York City and I figured, okay, number one, there's so many things that could have happened. It could have gotten stolen. A car could have driven over it. Somebody could have just, anything. It's like somebody could have wanted to return it, but not really known where it is. And I don't think I had a name tag or a luggage tag on it or anything, which now I always do.
Oh, yeah.
So, a number of things that could happen to it in New York City. And this is what happens. The guy brings it back into my building, gives it to the guy, and the doorman must have known, oh yeah, that's that guy who always, and I get it back. I take it to the gig, and wow. Yeah, that's my story.
That's a great story. I love that. That's like a Christmas story.
It is like a Christmas story.
Yeah. Now, you have been in the shop a lot. You've come to a lot of the jam sessions and come by. But just give us a little of your thoughts of the store. And
like I said before, this store is for me, it's magical, man. It's just this joy-producing thing of having these wonderful, beautiful instruments. Now, one of the first times I came in here. I sub for Tom Barney at Lion King, so Tom is very close to Barry, and Barry was here, so I came in with Tom, and so Barry knows that I know Tom. So he let me play this bass that he bought from Percy Heath. I played twice. I got to play Percy's bass in here, and there's I think
that's Scott LaFaro's bass.
Yeah, Scott LaFaro's bass
that's
is over
Eddie
here.
Gomez's bass.
Orrin O'Brien has a bass here.
And Orrin O'Brien.
Philharmonic. There's just so many. There's so many wonderful instruments, but also the history. There's history in here. It's just like I say, this is a magical place. It's a place where you can come in and get things fixed. Because one of the things I do for Tom Barney is I bring the Lion King bass in for like a tune-up. We bring it in like maybe twice a year. So we set it up now so I bring the bass in on a show day, usually like a Thursday. I bring it in here around 12, The guy cleans it up, fixes it up, checks it to make sure that everything's okay, maybe adjust the sound post, change the strings. I get it back in there, pick it up around 4 o'clock, get it back in there by 5, and it's ready for the 7 o'clock show. I do this like twice a year, you know, and you need strings, you need rosin, you need, you know, whatever you need. It's nice to be able to have a place where you can come in and physically grab it and have it, you know, instead of like ordering out on Amazon and hoping that it shows up the next day, because sometimes it doesn't, you know.
Right.
And here it's like, okay, I got it.
And you know, they have the shop in Baldwin, which is phenomenal. But getting to Baldwin is not easy. So now, you know, thanks to Manny, they open up a shop here. We're in New York. We're in the city.
Look, you could be in a show or Carnegie Hall or any place around here, and all of a sudden, like, you break a string and you need a string, or you need, you know, even you can't even find a place to get a cable now, like just a patch cord, without going to like Sam Ash, which is on 34th Street. So, you know, it's a little bit far. There's nothing here anymore where you can do that. So it's just wonderful to have this place here, man.
Oh,
you know.
good. Well, I'm glad, and it's always great to have you. And you come to the jam sessions. And
oh yeah, you know, I come here when I can and just, you know, play an instrument, or just try to make me happy. If I need a little bit of joy,
just come
this is
in
one
here
of the places
and
that I
grab an
come
axe
to
and play.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, you know, look at these instruments, man. I mean, behind us, in front of us, to the side of us, I'm just surrounded by these big, gorgeous spaces, man.
Oh, great. Well, Saadi, thank you so much for this, and just always a pleasure to see you, and I'll see you soon, I'm sure,
I hope so.
on many more occasions.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you so much for having me. And again, it's been a real joy and a real pleasure.
An honor to have you here.